From Deadline headquarters in Nairobi, Kenya, I'm Nema Atieno. Thank you for joining us, our viewers from Kenya and around the world, to Deadline News Today, where we share with you what's new and trending on arts and culture, health, economic, and education. On to our top stories today. ODM starts crackdown on imposter officials. The Orange Democratic Movement has started a crackdown on its supporters who masquerade as party branch chairman in Nyanza region. According to ODM National Chairman John Badi, the party has been invaded by cartels who disguise themselves as leaders and have been fleecing politicians. Speaking during fundraiser at Sare and Obonga Seventh-day Adventist churches in Karachuonyo constituency, Badi said that the trend was tainting the image of the party. Kenya said to receive the second highest award from Namibia. Namibia plans to decorate a retired Kenyan general for peacekeeping services rendered to the once war-hit country. In October, General retired Daniel Opande's name featured when Namibian President Hage Geingob met President Uhuru Kenyatta. According to Geingob, his country is preparing to award the retired general with the second highest honor as part of appreciation for the sacrifice and contribution he made, along with other Kenyan soldiers towards Namibia's liberation struggle. Infant mortality rate. Infant mortality is considered a basic measure of public health for countries around the world. Over the past decade, the overall infant mortality rate in the United States have improved, declining 15% from 6.86 high to 5.82. Over the years, many efforts have been made to understand and lower infant mortality. Infant mortality is considered as a basic measure of human health across countries around the world. In the past decade, United States infant mortality has improved. Let's take a look at the situation in Kenya, where children are born every day and they die less than 28 days. On our show today, we are going to discuss on what is neonatal death, how can it be prevented, and what are the causes. You can join in our conversation onto my social media handles on Twitter at Nema Atieno and on Facebook at Nema Atieno, hashtag neonatal deaths. Sifa Imelda is joining us on Twitter and she is saying, indeed it is a great concern at the rate at which infants are dying. This should be a big deal to the country. Next up, our correspondent Charity Muya with the feature.
The first 28 days of life, the neonatal period, represent the most vulnerable time for a child's survival. In 2016, 2.6 million deaths, or roughly 46% of all under 5 deaths, occurred in this period. This translates to 7,000 newborn deaths every day. The majority of the neonatal deaths are concentrated in the first day and week, with about 1 million dying on the first day and close to 1 million dying within the next 6 days. Reducing neonatal mortality is increasingly important, not only because the proportions of under 5 deaths that occur during the neonatal period is increasing as under 5 mortality declines, but also because the health interventions needed to address the major causes of neonatal deaths generally differ from those needed to address other under 5 deaths. Kenya has the third highest newborn mortality rate in East Africa, according to a report by UNICEF. The report says deaths among children aged 1 to 5 years old have fallen dramatically in recent decades, but the progress in reducing the deaths of newborn babies aged less than 1 month has been less impressive, with 7,000 newborns still dying every day. The United Nations Children's Fund notes that this rate is partly because newborn deaths are difficult to address with a single drug or intervention and require a system-wide approach. The deaths can be prevented with access to well-trained midwives, along with proven solutions such as clean water, disinfectants, and breastfeeding within the first hour, skin-to-skin contact, and good nutrition.
I'd say as a young mother, some of the things that bring about neonatal deaths are some of the issues that we assume, and mainly I would say the issue of hygiene. When I speak of hygiene, I mean the way we interact with the children. Some of us don't clean their hands when you're interacting, when you're holding the baby, and you find that their skin is very sensitive, their immunity is not well developed, and you find that it's at that point that children pick germs from you and they become ill. There's also the issue of the detergents we use to clean their clothes. You find that the children are able to pick allergies from that, and you find that it's at that stage that most children develop allergies. And there's also the deodorants we use as the people who are interacting with the children. In the hospital, you'd be advised that if you use very strong deodorants and sprays, you're advised to tone down on them, even using something very neutral, something that is not smelly, because it's very easy for the child to pick allergies from you, or even some things like asthma.
Wajua mtoto ana ngozi nyororo sana, na utakuta huyu mtoto anafaa aangaliwe vilivyo ama vizuri sana, ili asiweze akapata magonjwa, asiweze akakufa, because the small things that we ignore, these are the things that cause these kids ama our small kids to die. Like when I was growing up, in my case, I could see my mom. Mtoto kama unamlea, anafaa kuwa na vitu vyake kando, kama karai zake ni kando, vitu vyombo vyake vya kulia, such things. So if you observe such things, we will reduce these early deaths of these kids.
Reporting for Dateline News, I am Charity Muya.
I'm joined live by our correspondent from Nakuru. Charity, if you can hear me, what are the views of the people from there, and what is your opinion on our topic of discussion?
Yes, Nema, I can hear you quite clearly. The situation on the ground still remains the same, as many people are complaining that the deaths between the first 28 days of a baby's being born is because of the people they come into contact with. Most of these people wear strong perfumes, and the baby's breathing system is not well developed to deal with this strong scent. Some of these people have their hands unsanitized, and the baby's skin is sensitive to bacteria, and this will lead to complications that would actually lead to death. And my opinion on this issue is that as we come into contact or come and catch babies, we should have our hands sanitized and even be careful with our hygienic areas of our lives to ensure that we do not end up giving these children infections that will lead to complications and later to death. Back to you, Nema, in studio.
Thank you, Charity. On Twitter at m_Sylvia, she is saying that the government should come up with ways to reduce infant immortality in Kenya. We have guests with us in studio who will help us discuss more on our topic of discussion. I am joined live by a clinical nurse, Jemima Kamau, a psychologist, Mrs. Mabel Odima, and a young mother, Ms. Judith Wavinya. Thank you for coming to the show. To the first question, Ms. Kamau, what is neonatal death?
Baby dies within the first 27 to 37 days after birth. Okay, when you give birth to a baby and baby dies within the first 7 to 37 days, it majorly raises questions to the new mom. Most neonatal deaths are usually caused by premature births.
And what are the main causes of neonatal deaths?
The main causes of neonatal death can be the spread of infectious transmissions between the mother from the mother to the baby. Some infections are like sepsis. This is an infection of the blood. Another cause of neonatal death can be birth defects. This can be like the left cleft or heart diseases or brain defects. Yeah, they lead to neonatal death. Another cause of neonatal death, I can say it's when a baby is born underweight. Okay, a baby, basically the average weight for a baby to be born, it's around 3.5 kgs, but when a baby is born below 3.5 kgs or 2.5 kgs, the baby is at risk of dying. The other cause can be when the mother was exposed to infectious diseases such as sepsis. This is a blood infection which can be transmitted from mother to baby. And also another cause that will cause neonatal death can be birth defects. This can be such as heart defects, lung defects, and such cases.
To you, Mrs. Odima, have you had cases of mothers who have lost a child few days after birth?
I have heard of so many cases of mothers losing babies in the first month of birth. And some of the causes have been carelessness, infection sets in and a child is not taken to hospital, first-time mothers, and some women have reported to work within 3 weeks, and they left the baby with a caregiver who has no information on how to handle a baby, especially the case of feeding babies and helping them burp. So many babies are dying before their first birthday in the month because they fed and they were not able to release the gas from their systems in time.
And what advice can you give to mothers who've gone through the loss on how to deal with their grief?
Such mothers report to the antenatal care clinic. They receive counsel because loss is painful. Loss and grief is a process, and they need to be taken through counseling by professionals, and then they will be able to come to terms with that and accept it, and then later they'll be able to get a baby. And it's never the same baby.
Finally, Ms. Wavinya, what measures did you take to ensure that your baby passed through the first 28 days without any complications?
For me, I ensured that those who came for my baby to pass the 28 days, those who came to visit my baby, I ensured that they wash their hands and sanitize their hands, because still not to have strong perfumes, because this could cause complications to my baby, and I never wanted to go back to the hospital just because of those strong perfumes, or my baby was affected with dirty hands. Yeah.
And what advice can you give to mothers who have given birth to prevent neonatal deaths?
Advice I can give to the mothers is that they should maintain high hygiene for their children, or for those people who comes to see their baby. They should have high hygiene. Still, they should have baby's clothes clean. The things they feed the babies with, they should be also clean. In general, they should just make sure that everything for the baby is clean, not to cause any complications for the baby.
This brings us to the end of the Opinion Leader segment. Thank you for coming to the show. I will read one more comment. At Faith Nathans, she is saying that we need to be careful when handling newborn babies, for they are very delicate, to avoid neonatal deaths. Welcome to my help where God share with you my thoughts on our topic of discussion. It is indeed true that the rate at which you're losing newborn babies is very high. Doctors should advise mothers on how to take care of their newborn babies. It is also upon the mothers to ensure that those coming to visit their newborn babies and want to carry them should sanitize their hands. This is because newborn baby skins are very delicate, and when they are exposed to germs, they tend to bring in more complications. When this is put into consideration, the rate at which we lose newborn babies will reduce, and the infant mortality in our country will improve. Thank you for tuning in to Deadline News today. Join me next week at the same time, same place. I was your host, Nema Atieno. Goodbye.